Unfinished Worlds, the day the Earth hatched. It was a Tuesday. Yes, it was definitely a Tuesday that it happened. Rob was sure of it. Yes, because he'd had a job interview at McDonald's that Tuesday, and he'd been on his way to that particular job interview when it happened. That was the day the Earth hatched. It could have been just an ordinary earthquake. A large one, but it could have been no more than that. If it wasn't for what happened next. The earthquake started when he was walking along Manners Mall towards McDonald's. He was almost there, but the earthquake was rather violent, so he couldn't continue any further. By the time the next thing happened, there were big cracks everywhere, not just in the road. A big crack tore open right in front of him, the biggest one yet, with something way down at the bottom of it, something that looked like flat ground. For some reason, he felt he should be down there. He didn't know why, he just did. So he went down to this new ground. He jumped, or maybe another jolt tossed him. He fell down. He hit something and rolled and rolled and rolled and fell and landed and didn't roll. He just lay there for what must have been half an hour or maybe an hour. Something somewhere between curled up and splayed. Then he slowly got up and opened his eyes. Other people had fallen too. Most now half asleep, like he'd just been. And some vehicles, some of which hadn't survived the fall, although most had. He, on the other hand, seemed fine, well, lightly bruised, but nothing more. He looked up. He'd fallen or rolled a long way from Manners Mall, a very long way. There was a sort of stone dirt roof some distance above them, with occasional cracks in it through which people and vehicles had fallen. Then he noticed that other people were still falling, and some animals too. He sort of ran and somehow managed to break the fall of one of them without further hurting himself in the process. He was too tired just from that to break anyone else's fall. So he went and tried to rouse a man lying nearby. Oh, right. He and the man, who eventually introduced himself as Joseph, slowly went round helping as many as they could. Luckily, there was only one person trapped underneath the vehicle. Eventually, there was no one else falling, and they had a breather. Then the ground tilted, and they all started tumbling and rolling downhill, more gently than the fall from Manners Mall, but almost as long before they hit flat ground. And this time, no one was hurt, let alone trapped beneath one of the vehicles that had followed them down the slope. They got up and started looking around. There were about 100 or 200 of them. Then Rob looked up again. Now things were just getting weird. There's one huge piece of rock or earth breaking up the rock roof. And strangely enough, there weren't any pieces falling down, although he did feel a breath of wind from somewhere. There was definitely something strange going on. "Hey, the radio on this car is working," someone shouted. "There's some sort of international broadcast about what's happening." "Turn it up so we can all hear," said Joseph as they crowded around the car. The broadcast was American, NASA it seemed, or someone reporting on their behalf. One of NASA's satellites snapped this clip. It looks like some giant dinosaur or dragon or something is hatching from the earth itself. as if the Earth was a giant egg or something. Neither biologists nor geologists have any kind of explanation for this. Actually, I think it looks more like a dragon than any kind of dinosaur. Rob thought for a minute. So, does this mean that we fell through a crack in this eggshell? And we're now on the skin of this planet-sized dragon thing? Which would also mean that the one huge piece of rock or earth had seen breaking up the roof was the head of the dragon thing, eating the eggshell. And they were on the skin, some distance away from the shell. I suppose so, said Joseph. Welcome to this new world. Looks a bit empty, said someone. Then Rob noticed something. The ground beneath his feet was changing. It wasn't shifting this time. Something was pushing up through it. It was grass, pushing through the rocky dirt that had been there before. Then he noticed other things pushing through the dirt as well. Trees and stuff. I hope those trees grow fruit as quickly as they grow, he said. I'm hungry. Then he noticed what else was growing. Carrots. Well, if any of the flowers on those trees would have to be pollinated before we'd get any fruit anyway. That looks like silver beet. So, we've got food. We probably will find enough for everyone here, but where do we get water from? Said a woman who introduced herself as Jackie. So while some people gathered veggies and some gathered plant material suitable for sleeping on, several groups went looking for a source of fresh water. Soon a bubbling spring was found, not far from where the main group was. The spring looked rather new and fed a small stream. They agreed not to use the stream for a toilet and instead started digging a long drop, not too close to where they eventually set up a rough camp. However, without any tents or anything to make tents from, they slept in the open that night. That is the end of this extract. The book Unfinished Worlds is available as an ebook on the Kobo store. Link in the description.